You're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network.
While infrastructure costs for the PAZNIA Radio Network aren't exorbitant now, there are some costs. It will also increasingly demand more time as we move towards longer transmissions and more transmissions. If you'd like to help cover current costs and even the expansion of our efforts, please visit PAZNIA.com/shop. There, you can make a one-time fiat, Bitcoin, or Monero donation. You can become a stakeholder, and you can even order some one-of-a-kind PAZNIA merch, ranging from shirts to hats to flags, all the way to beach towels. Again, that link at PAZNIA.com/shop. Cheers from the Free Republic.
Life is a continuous confrontation with forks in the road. One is good, one is bad. And you could always wander completely off the road altogether and become lost. Totally and completely lost. If you take the wrong fork at one of these junctions, there is always the opportunity at the next fork to get back on track. But it is a constant battle within ourselves. You see, I have studied this concept for many, many years, and I have to tell you that if there is a real devil, like Flip Wilson used to say, the devil made me do it. Now, I'm not telling you that there's no such thing as Satan or Lucifer. I'm telling you this. If there really is a devil, that devil exists in the hearts and minds of men and nowhere else. Nowhere else. For if you take man out of the equation, evil ceases to exist, and there is left only the laws of the universe and the balance of nature. Put man in the equation, and before long, evil will rear its ugly head and present itself to the world. The evil is within man, and that is why it was called the fall. The devil never made anyone do it. If you do it, you did it yourself because you fell into temptation. For until man once again confronts the real nature of his own condition and of the world around him and accepts full responsibility for his actions without blaming anyone else or any devil, until then we will always be a puppet on the end of someone else's string. And ladies and gentlemen, when that someone pulls that string, we will dance.
The Vonu Insurance Company, ensuring your liberation. If there's one universal certainty, it's that life comes at us all quite unexpectedly. 1 second, you're making sweet love to your freemate, inside the homemade polyethylene, a tent. Mount Vesuvius is nearing eruption and bam, in comes a 40-foot oak tree, a good fucking day to you from the Siskiyou. It's moments like those you wished you had Vonu insurance. Or this very real example, you took Rayo's advice and decided to join a ghetto. One night you discover that your homeless meth head neighbor jacked your fucking shopping cart and the few belongings you owned to obliterate whatever remaining brain cells he had left. For the very low cost of 666,666 satoshis, or equivalent value in Monero per day, this near disaster could have been quickly remedied by the caring Freedom Pioneer support team here at the Vonu Insurance Company. Got an e-bike to insure. A decommissioned aircraft carrier. Maybe you've cracked the code to anti-gravity and built your own identified flying object. No venture or item is too big or too small. Prepare ahead and get under the umbrella of protection only the Vonu Insurance Company can provide. Minimize your stress, curtail risk, and outsource your liberation today, while we take your hard-earned money for doing fuck all. Just visit VonuInsured.com, fill out the intake form, and a dedicated member of our Freedom Pioneer support team will be in touch within 24 hours or 30 days. Again, VonuInsured.com. The Vonu Insurance Company, insuring your liberation.
Are you an alpha male looking to engage in consensual violence in a totally non-homosexual way? Do you also have nostalgia over the glory days when NFL players would get drunk, smoke cigarettes that can serve as fill-ins? But please note, PAZNIA is not responsible for any injuries that may be incurred. Single men, bachelors, what better way is there to possibly find you a freedom pioneering woman? What better way to demonstrate that you are the one she should head into the fallout bunker with? That you won't just $5 wrench attack her for her Bitcoin? There really aren't any. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to PAZNIA.com/football, fill out the application, sign the waivers, and get ready for a hell of a season come 2027. Again, PAZNIA.com/football. Sponsored by Pain Liberator, Miracle Muscle Pain Relief Spray, the official wellness product of the PAZNIA Football League.
Hiding things. Harming others. Stopping others from harming you. I'm Thane Riddle. This is Cloak and Dagger.
Yo, baby. Yo, baby. Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo, baby. How's Trick, Sashwiga? This is Thane Riddle punching in for another underpaid shift. Boss. You're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network, the most spectacular treasure in history. If you're a Monero Chad, send us a Monero at xmarchat.com/PAZNIA Radio. Tell them Thane sent you, give me something to read on the show. If you're a Bitcoin seller, you can send some lightning on fountain.fm. Search for the Vonu podcast, VONU. Go to PAZNIA.com/SimpleX Radio. Get your ass to the PAZNIA Radio Network chat on SimpleX. I'll leave us some messages there and I'll read them. And radio get your live call-ins. And fucking PAZNIA.com/call2 in like an hour or something. Today, the down to earth tip will be transportation privacy, going a long way by water, maybe flying. Building second realms, more on memetics, finally, maybe, hopefully. The guest is nobody. Go fuck yourself. Don't forget, in an hour, call-ins, PAZNIA.com/call2, PAZNIA.com/SimpleX Radio to say things on the chat. And now it's the news. And for the start of the news, it's going to be PAZNIA News with guest newscaster Rayo 2. Back to you.
Oh boy. All right, I'm getting things clicked over here. My brain's not firing 100%, but I think everything is good on this end. I think so.
Sometimes you know your building's firing, but your brain's not firing.
That is true.
And
Yes.
it should be the other way around.
That is very true. But yeah, Thane, sorry to you have to intrude on your news segment this week, but this is definitely some big PAZNIA news, and I guess not necessarily good news initially, but you know, silver linings and all, which we'll get into. But if you're already part of the network or follow on Telegram, Telegram, SimpleX, or Signal, you may have already heard that this past Sunday evening, February 1st, the PA.Z.NIA Consulate burnt to the ground. First off, obviously, this is a new audio setup. I did some sound checks and things checked out, but please excuse any bad audio hate crimes that may be committed today. Don't put me on the cross. Back to Sunday. We were enjoying another peaceful afternoon at the Veritas Consulate. We had a special visitor, John, an executive PAZNIAN stakeholder. An amazing time, lots of great discussions, and even a video on and learning about the wishing machine. Essentially an energy device to amplify intentions and prayers. One I'd read about in a book. It's called Machines You Can Make. It's like mind machines you can make with your mind or something like that. Well, mind machines you can build. That's what it's called. I didn't expect to see one. Physical space and time. So it was cool as shit. So I put out a video on it Sunday morning before all this transpired. But yeah, later that day, within the span of less than a few minutes, the back porch was in flames, and the rest of the house following soon after. We got one cat out, Grayson, the scaredy cat, and as of less than 24 hours, we found Nebula. Naomi's safe, and all PAZNIANs are too. We're still hoping Kong, or I guess Nydia, aka Kong, is out there, being a badass somewhere. But yeah, nothing yet. The consulate's gone, a piece of rubble, or I guess a pile of rubble. And along with it, the initial physical PAZNIA library and the wellness center suffered critical losses, not to mention many personal belongings of Aura and I. We're doing all right, considering, and sometime soon, the PAZNIA embassy will be erected at Veritas. Thanks to everyone who's reached out and helped or offered to help. The support has been heartwarming and sobering. The PAZNIA vision will continue ever stronger, but just with another obstacle to overcome in the meantime. Now let me add a couple caveats here. Last year, I finished digitizing the entirety of the Vonu zine collection. They were all 90+% completed. I was just going to format them better, proofread and edit them again, and then wait and schedule big drawn-out releases over a time. Well, the entire physical archive of Vonu zines is gone. Thankfully, as a self-liberator, I practice the things discussed in my own show, the Vonu Podcast, and what Thane talks about here. Yeah, all of the Vonu zines are safe in multiple locations beyond triplicate, and this is digital versions. And I even went ahead and released all of the new PDFs for free on Telegram and Simplex. I'll do it more officially on the website sometime, but I wanted to get them out and everywhere as soon as possible. So all of the digital versions are available for free. All the other ones before now are too. They're not organized, but that is one thing on my list is to make a quick link where all of everything free to download is just all there, because this shit should be replicated as many places as possible. Let me just say, losing the physical PAZNIA library will sting like fuck for a while. If you're a book lover like I am, and even acquiring books for so long, just as losing the original Vonu archive. But if I wouldn't have gotten those from Jim Stum, and this is where like I'm at, even though it's shitty, like I'm super thankful that I got them in the first place, because if I wouldn't have gotten them, they were headed to the dump pretty quickly probably, and they would have just been gone. We would have never known what was actually published in those things. So I'm really really thankful that I was able to get those digitized, and that knowledge won't not just be lost. It's going to be easily available and replicated, all over the world via the PAZNIA network and beyond. And regarding the PAZNIA library, other than 5 or 6 one-of-a-kind books, the library can and will be built back up. I did grab the original copy of Vonu: The Search for Personal Freedom, though, and that was the last one on Amazon, so I still have that. Yeah, again, another thing where it could have been worse. As I mentioned above, the Wellness Center also suffered some critical losses. Thousands of dollars of herbs, supplements, products, etc., the AquaCure, a Rife machine, and probably more things that I'm forgetting. So what's the path forward look like? Well, Aura and I had already been investigating new plans for the PAZNIA embassy for a number of years. We were getting close to hammering down on a few different plans, a few ideas, but the financial aspect was, I don't know, a bit of hold up, I guess. Building costs are just astronomical right now. And we were kind of hoping that over time that'd go down. We'd heard from different contractors, different things like, oh, the price will probably come down if you wait, and some will say, they'll just continue to go up. So we're kind of stuck, I guess you could say. We're just kind of waiting and saving up money until we found something that would actually work. And but now despite the kind of shitty situation, it seems like the plans are coalescing more seamlessly and without fighting as much resistance. So much so that the embassy will very likely be built and ready this year. It'll probably be good for our health. I guess this is another side note. It'll probably be really good for our health to get out of that mold-ridden house. Mold's a big problem when it comes to health, and I guess that is another possible side benefit, I suppose you could say, or something positive to come out of a bad situation. I guess a couple of other notes. We're blessed and lucky, as for people watching the stream, like we're not No, we're not living in squalor or anything. We have a comfortable place to stay. We're good. And so please don't feel obligated to contribute. But many have asked, so if you feel called to help out, we certainly do appreciate it. More resources will help us to rebuild faster. And I'll put all these links in the show notes for this. I'll get this out on the podcast feed and such here in the next day or two. But and these links will be in the show notes. But for Monero, PAZNIA.com/Monero. Bitcoin or fiat, PAZNIA.com/shop. PayPal, Shane@libertyunderattack.com. Again, Shane@libertyunderattack.com is the email. Or the donation link is paypal.me/LUA radio. Again, paypal.me/LUA radio. Book orders via libertyunderattack.com would help too. Just please note, all my stock got burnt up, so it might take a little longer for fulfillment. An additional week or two, not anything ridiculous, but it will be a little bit of a setback. And make sure to use, Thane will probably talk about the Celebration bundle and stuff. Use his coupon codes and discount codes and make sure it gets paid for giving you, dropping this highly valuable knowledge in an entertaining way. But anyway, and I guess the final way you can help support, and this isn't as important because we don't have a house to necessarily put everything now, but I still want to get started on it because it's going to take quite a bit. If you'd like to help with the PAZNIA library restocking, I did start an Amazon wish list with a book that will continually be added to as I think of books that I had, and look at pictures and videos of my library. But that's you can visit that PAZNIA.com/books. Last thing for a moment. I found a very fitting Walter Russell quote, and it's amazing. Like any situation in your life, just like look it up on. You just do a search, and you'll find this like you'll find a dime from Walter Russell. He said, "Quote: Defeat I shall not know; it shall not touch me. I will meet it with true thinking. Resisting it will be my strengthening. But if perchance the day shall give me the bitter cup, give to me the bitter cup. It shall sweeten in the drinking." End quote. So yeah, Thane, I think that's kind of the overview of what's transpired. I guess there were a couple of product recommendations to touch upon, but I mentioned that to you and you're going to bring them up, so I'll just stop talking for now and kind of get your thoughts. And if you have anything to mention, any questions.
Do you want to say anything about the cause or suspected?
Yeah, I can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was an old 1970s manufactured home, and the guy, God bless him, the guy who lived there before, he was very handy, and they didn't have any money, so they basically jerry-rigged everything together. So you'd find electrical parts being used for plumbing and vice versa, and just stuff that's not necessarily done the way that it should have been done. So it's kind of a miracle the house lasted as long as it did. But we're pretty sure the fire came from under the house. There might have been a electrical short in the water heater or something like that. It's kind of what we're thinking. Yeah.
All right. And what about how the building materials made it more flammable?
Oh well, yes, yeah, it was. Yeah, it went up in flames. Yeah, it was. It was pretty wild how quick it happened. It happened very quick. The house.
What do you
was gone,
think?
15 minutes.
Can you name anything in particular about the building that made it more flammable? Like any specific material?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah. Okay. So you're okay. Aura's okay. Naomi Defense LLC, Grayson Pest Control LLC, and I'm hearing a second cat is okay now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was.
So there's a third cat
yesterday. Yep.
So search and rescue teams have been deployed for the third cat.
Oh yeah. Yep. Still on deployment. Yep.
That's good.
For sure.
And all right. Now the wellness center. So you lost. So the AquaCure's fucked up, huh? And and also Rife Machine. Yeah, would be. I used to brag about how they got a $5,000 isn't much for the wellness shed fund because they already got stuff. They already got the AquaCure and stuff. Well, guys, it looks like the wellness shed's probably going to cost double what it did before.
Well, so I guess the good thing is there was some, like I said, it was a 1970s manufactured home, so there's only one policy for insurance. So there was a little bit there, and then there was a touch of a little bit of personal property, and I didn't have anything of value that I had was basically in in my office, which is a lot of the electronics and stuff that I got out. And then like the supplements, I didn't realize, dude, holy shit. Like when I started to, I made one trip to the health food store, and then I made an Amazon order, and I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, cause you know how much this shit costs, and if you accumulate stuff over the course of like 3 to 5 years,
Oh yeah.
it's like, yeah. So we're
Supplements
gonna get
cost a lot.
we're gonna get some of that back. But again, we don't know how much. You're dealing with fucking insurance companies, and I have an ad.
Yeah.
I have an ad played before your show making fun of insurance. So at least like this second realm, or I guess first realm insurance.
Yeah,
So.
making better insurance is like pretty high on my list. I think it ties into the whole Cypher Mercs thing and everything. It'll all be connected to insurance, or whatever the hell we call it.
So I guess it's basically just it's a temporary setback, because I mean we'll eventually get that stuff back, and it'll happen quicker than what I acquired them the first time. But it's just like, and I guess the other problem too is that if we just start acquiring stuff now, it kind of just has to go into storage. So a lot of people are asking, like, you want furniture, you want any of this stuff? It's like, yeah, we do, but like we need like 6 months probably before we're ready for for stuff like that.
Now I hear that all PAZNIA computers and digital stuff is fine.
Yeah, so the only thing that was lost was the Ghost server, which I didn't care about. There was nothing saved on it. It was just like a Bitcoin and Monero nodes. There was a Nextcloud server on there that I couldn't actually access at that point. It needed troubleshooting anyway. We talked about it. I think you talked about it on your show.
Are you still able to take payments with like BTC Pay server?
Well, so I didn't actually. So BTC Pay server, I ran into issue after issue when I tried to set it up a couple of times. So I didn't have BTC Pay server on there. It was just it's not a big deal. So losing the Ghost server, it's more just monetary, and that'll hopefully I'll get that replacement cost. And
well, it needed maintenance anyway.
Exactly. So like it saved me. And see, again, this is another silver lining, because instead of me having to fuck with like doing a phone call with Jamin, like to have him walk me through it and how to do it, I can just get a new one and have him like bulk it up like 4x. And I don't have to mess with
and HBO's star Jason Hens has already paid for that setup, I guess.
I guess I guess half of it's probably a good portion of it's probably paid. So that's good. So the Ghost server was lost. But
now
I got all of my laptops out. I have a radio laptop. This is my, I guess you could say, my content creation and my gaming laptop per se. And then I have a Linux laptop that I use for communications and whatever. But all of those are good. I lost the Ghost tablet too. But again, that one when you turned it on, it wouldn't boot an operating system. I had to boot it from a drive anyway. So it was basically like I would have to restart anything I did when I used it. So it was annoying. And now I'll just get a new one. Works.
Now, you said some book stock was burnt up. What about other merchandise?
Oh yeah, so there was again like it was so we lost. I was just like speaking in terms of meat, like and merchandise. So there's like meat, and there's also like PAZNIA merch. Typically, our freezer, we have like 3 freezers out in the back, and typically they would be full. But we were actually like, this is the lowest we've been on meat and actually food anywhere. In the house, so like that's good. In terms of PAZNIA merch, I'd already gotten rid of most of it. I had like large and extra larges, and it's been hard to I think I have large and 2XLs, and it's been hard to offload those. So, or actually XL and 2XL. Sorry.
This is starting to sound like insurance fraud. Like, oh yeah, we didn't have that much meat, and it was actually a bunch of stuff I was having a hard time getting rid of. Oh yeah, sure.
Well, no. Well, I was saying, no, it'd be the opposite actually. I would have.
Oh, he's sweating now.
I would have said that the freezers were full, and then there would be more to claim.
Yeah. I bet it would be a lie. Yeah, I guess they'd be empty, but you'd say they were full. Yeah.
But yeah, now, so like, not bad in terms of merch. I was considering reordering sometime too. Anyway, so not a big deal.
We got a shout out Sentry Safe. Fireproof safes and Polymer 80 Glocks.
Yeah, we do. Sentry safes work. We confirmed. We just got a couple more today. I'll just say, there was a Polymer 80 Glock in the house. Again, Polymer 80 is like plastic. It's like really tough plastic. These kits, the company that sold them got raided at one point by the ATF. I think they might be legal now again. I'm not sure. But they sell the Polymer 80 kits, and you just have to buy. You have to like grind off a couple parts, and then you have to buy an upper kit and a trigger, and then bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a ghost gun per se. There was one of those there, and I didn't even think about the guns. I didn't think about that shit. I didn't care. That was kind of like the last thing on my mind. But I opened a drawer in the house, and I was like, holy motherfucker. The Glock's like it. Other than it is not as pretty as it was before per se, but I pulled it out, and I probably shouldn't have done this. It probably wasn't smart or a good idea, but I really didn't care about shit at that time.
Was it loaded?
It was loaded, and I walked out to the side, and I was like, I'm gonna fire this fucker. Let's see what happens. It fired a couple times. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna have our resident Pat Henry take a look at it when he comes back and make sure she's in tip-top shape. But she fired, so like that's miraculous. Like mostly plastic gun. Obviously the barrel's not, but still it's pretty miraculous. And they're not designed for that. I looked it up. They're not designed to withstand fires, which makes sense.
Yeah, we'll see. Let us know when you have somebody dissect the polymer 80 Glock and let us know what the verdict is on how it came out. But it sounds like a good start so far for polymer 80 Glocks, and of course the Sentry Safe fireproof safe. It sure as fuck be a disappointment if that didn't actually work.
That'd be
most
bad.
Fireproof stuff seems to work, but this one you tested, so we got to shout them out. Because they helped.
Yeah, and when you consider that when they cost like less than $100, and you can fit a lot of value in one of those safes, like it pays off. It definitely pays off.
Oh yeah, you got to have some kind of fireproof storage. Now, what can be learned from this, I guess, is first of all, electrical. You don't need to do everything according to fucking code. A lot of the stuff in the code is stupid. But that's a different thing from good work. You want safe. Good work. Yeah. You want good work, safe with electrical. If something is some old as fuck, whatever, knob and tube, fucking wiring or something, you might want to do something about that. Mechanical room layout, maybe, but you say it came from, you think, underneath the house, though.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I guess later that night when shit was super chaotic for 5 or 10 minutes, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I have to get a shout out for Pain Liberator too. And this isn't even an ad because I don't have any. I'm getting back the raw ingredients for it now. But in the chaos, we were flipping over couches to try to get Grayson because we didn't want him to burn up under the couch because he wouldn't have left. So we were like flipping the fucking couches and shit. And I think I like ran full speed into the corner. And I bruised the shit out of my rib, and then it's kind of worked its way. It kind of reverberated around the left side of my body, and I don't use Pain Liberator all the time because I don't usually feel
you likely cracked a rib, right? Does it hurt when you breathe?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it was definitely bruised, probably cracked.
Easy to crack the rib.
Yeah, it's probably cracked. I don't use I don't use Pain Liberator unless I feel pain. I really don't that often. So like it's always amazing like to use it, and like it's instant pain relief. Like you gotta reapply in like 15 minutes. But like the fact, like it's who gives a shit? Like that, I don't know. It's I'm always blown away by it. And as you say, it's so simple. I have no idea why the hell anyone's never done it before. But
yeah, it's really it's like a no-brainer. It's one of those things that seems obvious after you hear it, that you should mix aspirin with a DMSO. But but for some reason nobody thought about it. But also I think there's like regulations or something. Like people are probably scared away from it for that reason too. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. So people can order. I mean, people can go ahead and back order or go put in orders for libertarianattack.com/pain.
Yeah, make a lot.
Go ahead and you can pre-order. I'm gonna start. I've got everything but the packaging right now and the labels, which I guess the labels are the least important part. If I get the packaging, or I guess the bottles. The spray bottles, and I'm back in business. So go ahead and place orders if you want to. It'll encourage me to do it a little quicker. Money's a good motivator, and the product is good as shit.
There's nothing like it. libertyunderattack.com/pain Thane. And another thing maybe to learn is like early warning systems, like fire alarms. Like now, obviously you want one in a mechanical room because they're a fire hazard. But I mean, if this was under the house, I've never heard of someone putting a fire alarm in like a crawl space or something. But
Yeah.
if there's wiring there, I think you should. I think people should.
It's an interesting thought. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. I think that'd be a cool idea. And I guess when it comes to building materials, I mean, well, it's not the 70s anymore. So it wouldn't be so weird anymore for you to pick more fire retardant materials
Yeah.
when building a new thing, especially like, some insulation goes up. Styrofoam makes amazing insulation, but holy shit, does it burn well?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, no,
I guess
it's a different world since the 1970s.
Yeah.
For sure.
Another aspect of the post-mortem here is the emergency response. Like, how did this go?
Yeah.
Your
That's
reaction?
interesting. Oh, I was gonna say like, because you're talking about the fire, like the fire emergency, the volunteer fire.
No.
response,
You
or-
forget those
Okay.
faggots. I'm talking about you.
Like, what do you? I guess elaborate. What do you mean? Emergency response.
Yeah, like, well, how did you react?
Oh, like
and,
whenever
like, what'd
the
you do?
houses started burning. You mean kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it probably wasn't the 100. No, it definitely wasn't when we did the after the fact. There were things we would have done differently, but yeah. So basically, I guess essentially, Orr had gone out there to smoke a cigarette or out back on the back patio where we thought the fire started. We thought the fire started out there, but it was actually under the house. But yeah, she came in, and 5 to 10 minutes later, I was over in my office, and she screamed, smoke! There's fire on the porch, and yeah, I guess we thought it started there. We had a couple fire extinguishers on hand, and like we thought it was a small space heater. She started seedlings for gardening for the coming spring, and like that was the first thing my mind went to is, it's got to be the space heater. And I was hoping it was small, kind of contained. So we opened the back door, and I started spraying the fire extinguisher, and it was hot as shit, but I didn't see any flames. It was just all smoke, which I didn't think anything of it until I started thinking, like 6 hours later.
Right.
When I was like, okay, well, yeah, obviously the fire didn't start there then. If we all, and I couldn't even go in there. It was hot as shit. It was hot as shit. So it seems like it kind of even burned under the house, maybe for even a few minutes before we knew. Yeah, and it wasn't. Then after, so I guess after that, after we realized that, and I guess we should have done this initially. Like once we knew the house was on fire, we should have started getting stuff out, getting the cats and doing that. But I don't know. Again, like I think that's kind of instinct. Like, well, if there's a fire, you put it out. So like that's what like you try to do that for like the first minute or two, and then it's like, oh shit, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. And then you go for the cats, but you can't open all the doors. Which I guess that was one thing we could have done differently. Is I don't know. The fire was it was going out the back patio. And if we would have left those doors closed, the fire might have just continued to push in that direction, versus opening up towards the rest of the house. So I don't know, but then again, who the hell knows? Maybe it just would. It was just bound to happen, regardless of how. Once the fire started, there was nothing. Yeah, nothing. It didn't matter, I guess, per se.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I guess beyond that, no, that was kind of the only. I guess I think Chris turned off Bastard Chris turned off the gas, which is a big thing, a big important thing.
Yeah,
John or
turning
Chris
off the gas. Yeah.
And then just burn up, and the volunteer fires. Basically just neighbors showed up, and for a few hours and put the fire out, and yeah, pretty much it. There wasn't much in the terms of emergency. It was just like 5 minutes of pure chaos.
Now,
yeah.
in theory, if you did realize that it was underneath the house, was there access to the crawl space?
Yeah, but probably right near where the fire started. Yeah,
right.
That'd be kind of the only possible entry.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have any gas masks?
Negatory. No.
Oh, it's good to have gas masks. Do you have any like welding gloves, like for like touching hot stuff?
I know what you're talking about, and it's possible. I grabbed a couple welders from my grandpa's house last couple times I was there. He might have had. There might be some, but no, I didn't have some in the house. That would have been a good idea. Yeah.
Because like my post-mortem of the emergent, like if there was a way to stop this after it started, I'm thinking somebody's got a gas mask and welding gloves, quick at hand, and they got the fire extinguishers.
Yeah, and the big
That way,
and big fire. Don't fuck around with those little bullshit bitch
yeah,
ones.
yeah,
Get
big ones and
get
maybe more
industrial.
than one.
Yeah, and if you live
Yeah,
like
because
near a
like,
pond, if you live near a pond or something, there are things. We're obviously looking into it now if we're building a new house. And there's like what do they call them? Like they're basically jet pumps that come out of your pond. And then fire departments. There's specific, like obviously we don't like the codes and stuff, but the firefighter, it's all standard, so the fire trucks can hook right up to it and pull water out of your pond.
there's nothing wrong with standards.
Oh yeah, no, nothing wrong with standards. No, so yeah, it's that's something we're definitely, I mean, we're definitely looking
Open
into.
standards are helpful. It's everything's compatible that way. But yeah, I'm thinking like if someone had the gear to handle touching something hot and putting their head in the smoke, and they had fire. Now, of course, fire extinguishers, as you may realize now, are, not amazing, miraculous tools. They're kind of weak. You got to get right up on the source of the fire and have a little luck on your side in order to stop it. But yeah, that was pretty much your only shot, as if some badass with a gas mask and maybe welding gloves actually went under there in the smoke and sprayed it right at where the source of the fire was. That might have done something to salvage, to save some of the house. And I guess, yeah, another post-mortem thing is maybe it's good to have more than one way into a crawl space.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's a good point. And that was we weren't gonna. I mean, there was nothing we could do about that. So I think there was another way to get under the crawl space, and then they added on the back enclosed porch, which closed up the crawl space.
Right.
So yeah, no, like that
I'd say as a rule of thumb,
that wasn't
any
wise.
place you can get into should have more than one exit if you're building it or modifying it. It's too scary to have only one way in and out.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Imagine if a fire started when someone was in there for some reason and the fire's between them and the exit. Well, that's a problem. That's kind of a crazy story though, if that happened. Any thoughts about
that'd be wild.
About rebuilding that are like interesting? I don't know.
So I mean, nothing in terms. We looked at building costs were so high, and I looked into. I know somebody who's doing what do they call an earthship home, or I don't know what they're. There's obviously a lot of these different alternative ideas, and we looked into them, but the amount of work they take, and they still cost quite a bit, to finish. So we were trying to find. We looked at some of those alternatives. So there's nothing really interesting per se. We're looking at. I guess they're manufactured modulars is what they're called. I think you can put a basement under them is the difference. A lot of those modular homes you can't put a basement under it. Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking. It's not it's not like I don't know, a second realm solution per se, but we are going to have we've got a pond already in place. We're going to have geothermal. And we're gonna be pretty.
You'd think they'd have like modules that you can bury, right? Like you just dig a hole, put underground modules in there, like multi-floor, whatever.
It's possible, yeah. Probably, it's possible.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Oh yeah, but yeah, I lost my. So I want to emphasize, because this is kind of a thing. This is kind of a big deal. I've told people this before, one-on-one. Gas mask is an essential piece of like preparation gear, prepper gear. You always want a gas mask at hand with a CBRN type filter, maybe more than one. Fire is the number one reason it gets used. Because, yeah, if some shit is filled with smoke, you can't go through there very easily. You need to get out of there, right? It gives you the ability to escape in ways that you couldn't, or even stop a fire when you otherwise couldn't. But anyway, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, which is John's wishing machine.
Oh, boy.
Was just used right before this fire happened. And this is supposed to be a tool of immense magical power. What was written on the paper what did John put on that paper in there?
It's classified.
Okay. Well, that tells us everything we need to know, doesn't it? But anyway, now that I know that John is... Oh, by the way, speaking of the wishing machine...
well, I guess we could go into a skiff and talk about it.
We can go into a skiff? Like a boat?
Call it. That's what and on the UFO disclosure stuff, whenever the congressman shit can't, or I guess the whistleblowers can't talk about it, they're like, I can't say publicly, but we can go into a skiff. Which I guess like a secret compartmentalized information. What's the F?
Right.
Something or other. Yeah.
Yeah, right. This is some sort of... He was probably doing wishing machine weapons research in your house, and that's why it got set on fire. But that's good. At least now we know it can be weaponized. We can use that test data now. And now, as for how to build the wishing machine, you posted some very vague diagram. It uses an audio amplifier.
Yeah. So it's actually fairly simple. So it was just if people can see the I'll drop a link to that in the show notes too, and I'll pull up the picture too so I can accurately describe what I'm talking about. But it was like a small treasure chest per se, and it had 2 copper plates, and you take off the top copper plate and you put in you write on your wish or your wish or your prayer or whatever, and then you put it between the copper plates, and those copper plates are attached to an audio amplifier, which is then attached to like 6 rechargeable AA batteries. And the idea is that it amplifies intentions or prayers.
Is there an antenna in that setup?
Oh yeah, there's an antenna with it too. Yeah, that's true. That's an important component. Yeah.
Can people if people look up wishing machine, can they easily find this stuff?
So the book that was in, so John talked about that, and then I went and grabbed the book out of that's now burnt up. It's people. If people go to the Rumble video, I'll drop the Rumble video link in there. It has a picture of the actual chest and like a minute or 2 video of all the angles and shit. And then it shows the diagram of the actual, I guess, diagram of how to put it together. It's fairly simple, and this one John talks about in the video, but this one he put it together to heal some girl. I don't remember what condition, but it worked. I don't know. It's legit. I think it's definitely legit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now that I know that John is all right with showing himself on the network, we got to get him on my show sometime.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah, dude. We should get John on Cloak Dagger.
You can get John talking for hours about all sorts of interest. He's like a true genius, John.
Yeah, he is.
He's got to be on the show.
Yeah. So that can he's a busy man, but I think he would enjoy doing that. He might not be able to do a full full 2 hours, but he could definitely do an hour show.
Well, the interview part's just an hour.
Yeah. So he could definitely do an hour. I could facilitate that. That would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, do it. Well, nothing can stop PAZNIA, not even the power of the wishing machine wielded by the evil wizard John. All PAZNIA projects still going full sale. PAZNIA.com/fund. I guess some of the costs are maybe outdated or something. Maybe it should be updated. I don't know. Yeah. And of course, the donation links again for Monero, PAZNIA.com/Monero. PAZNIA.com/shop. You can find there's an item on the shop that's a donation, and there's merchandise, so you can buy a bunch of shit.
Actually, don't buy merchandise.
Don't buy merchandise.
I have to go on the site and put that out of stock because I have to order special order that per se.
Yeah. Just buy the donation item and buy merchandise later.
And then go to liberatortech.com and buy stuff. That's okay. I can make that happen.
Because that's print on demand or something.
Or Jamin.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So you can go to PAZNIA, you can go to libertyunderattack.com and buy books and stuff. And you can go to libertyunderattack.com/Thane to buy Jamin stuff, the phones and all that crap.
And
there's also the Amazon.
For Pain
yeah, Pain Thane, libertyunderattack.com/Pain Thane. And there's, of course, PAZNIA.com/Thane to just buy a stakeholder membership. If you're going to donate, you might as well get some perks for it. You can get $25 off with coupon code Thane. There's the Amazon wish list, which I guess you're linking.
Yep.
in the show notes.
PAZNIA.com/books. Yep. If people want to, and obviously some people might not want to buy off Amazon. There's privacy-friendly ways to do it. If you just want to reach out privately, that's cool too. Shane at libertyandtech.com. That's just a good and easy way to do it.
You just send them some Monero and earmark it for books or something.
That works too. Yeah.
You can PayPal him at Shane at libertyandtech.com or paypal.me/Lua Radio, LUA Radio. I guess that's it. And unless you got anything else to say about your house burning down.
No, that's it. That's it. I mean, it's if we get the we get back Kong, aka Nydia, then it's where we can move past. Nothing really important was lost. So,
right.
If Kitty comes back, so we can move forward.
Working day and night. PAZNIA search and rescue deployed.
And we will rebuild. The big positive from this is, I guess the last thing I'll say is that the plans for the house have obviously rapidly moved forward, not by our own voluntary choice, but because we got
it's kind of a good thing.
And like I said at the beginning, that I guess some of the financial stuff is going to kind of resolve.
I mean, me myself, like I wouldn't rely on construction costs going down.
No.
This year is the last year people might have. I don't know if I'm right about stuff. I mean, I'm not saying for sure 2027, but I'm just saying it looks like it could be that, and that's bad. So yeah, people should wrap shit like that up this year anyway.
Yeah,
for the best.
We got forced what we need to do anyway. So
that's good.
Yeah,
maybe
there's positives. Maybe
the wishing machine, it was not being wielded with evil intentions after all. It's just one of those Crypt Keeper wishes where, well, I guess it's the opposite of a Crypt Keeper wish. In a Crypt Keeper episode or a Goosebumps episode or whatever, you wish for something good and it seems good, but it's actually something bad. Like, be careful what you wish for. This is the other way around. It's like you wish for something good, so then something bad happens, and that leads to something good.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Interesting way to think about it. But yeah, that's all I got. Thane, thanks a lot for letting me come on and commandeer your show per se. And obviously you can go into overdrive. I'll just mention for the audience, since I'm here. After Thane's show, there will just be like 10 or 15 minutes of music and deprogramming to close out. Short stream tonight, and then next week we should be back into full operation, and do a long stream then. And I think you might have a guest on the 14th. It might be
next
Shadrach,
week there'll be a guest. It's Shadrach, yeah.
Okay, cool. We got to talk. Yeah, we got to talk to Shadrach about something else. Because he's going to be my he's probably going to be my co-host for the monthly news show.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that and pre-show or post-show next week. So that's good. And again, PAZNIA will not be stopped, will not be slowed down.
PAZNIA cannot be stopped.
All going forward.
Veritas PAZNIA could be raided for being the central hub of a terrorist organization in the next few years, but PAZNIA itself cannot be stopped.
Yep. 10-4, man. Well, I will go ahead and again, thanks for letting me commandeer. I will drop back into the background. Have a good rest of your show, brother.
Yeah, thanks. See you later. Back to the news, and we're gonna cleanse the palate with a heartwarming human interest story with some bludgy killing news. This is a heartwarming human interest story about a brave Ashwagandhan hero pulling off some straight up fucking Grand Theft Auto shit in real life. You ever, if you've played Grand Theft Auto, any installment in the series, you've probably, just spent some time messing around, just like running people over with your car and then the cops come and then you shoot the cops and kill the cops, and your wanted rating keeps going up and up and up until you've got like all the wanted stars, and they're like selling helicopters and SWAT teams and shit, and you're like in some crazy war. You got like rocket launchers and shit. Well, this guy kind of did about as close to that as you hear about in real life. One guy. So in Arizona, some faggot bludgies come around to answer a domestic violence call. you know what it is. You know, like your whatever your wife or kid needs to be. They need to learn a lesson or something. You know, so you know you teach them a lesson, and like they're like screaming and stuff. So like someone calls the bludgies. Um, and you know what it is. That happens all the time. Uh, and for the most part, it ends with a whimper, but not this time. Uh, this time, it somehow led to one guy carrying out a 2-hour long small arms fight with the bludgies. This guy was using high ground. He was on roofs. He was changing positions. He was using cover or concealment, and changing positions in an unpredictable way to keep the heat on these bludgies, to keep firing at them from different spots while staying alive and operational himself for a couple hours. I think his position must have been somehow fortified, given that the bludgies, there's no mention in this story of bludgies trying to come upstairs or something to try and, get up there with him. So don't ask me why, but for some reason that's not part of the equation. And so then the bludgies are like, damn, if only we could know, if only we could have an eye in the sky to know where this guy is. They can tell us, oh, he's coming over to the west side, the east side, whatever. And then we'll, do better in this fight, right? So they send a chopper. What harm can come from that, right? You send a chopper over, they can see him from above, and should be easy, right? No big deal. And no one, I think no one knows quite what happened here, but we know that the chopper did one pass over the building, and then there was some, according to one witness, some shots fired. And then the helicopter started flying erratically, and it crashed, killing both the pilot and the other guy on the helicopter. Meaning, just like Grand Theft Auto, it may be the case that this guy used his little gun to shoot the helicopter out of the sky. In any case, the helicopter crashed, and this guy got cuffed, and he was not dead. He had some wounds. He was shot, I think, but he was pretty much all right, medically speaking. So, once again, it's like Grand Theft Auto, where you wake up in the hospital after you respawn at the hospital, wasted. So very fun, heartwarming human interest story. Now, while I don't know the nitty gritty of this story for sure, I know enough, as you've heard, that I can say this was an awesome demonstration of urban guerrilla warfare. In an asymmetrical urban warfare setting, guerrilla defenders have a very big upper hand against a bigger attacking force. And this story does a good job of showing you why that is. The key takeaways are the guerrilla defenders use high ground. They're in the windows, they're on the roofs. The guerrilla defenders use cover and concealment and flexibility, moving from place to place, being unpredictable. You don't know which window they're going to be in. This really it really has a psychological effect on an occupying force, that any window could have somebody in it, that any window could have a sniper in it or something. This is why, trying to invade an urban area full of guerrilla fighters is like, it's extremely scary, and it's like, you are not likely, it's not going to go well for them, right? And they feel that. Now, strategic fortification is another thing that we don't know for sure if that happened in this story, but it's a big deal in guerrilla warfare. For some reason, they couldn't get up to him. Urban settings have very tight corridors that you have to go through. You have to drive tanks down roads to get them somewhere. It's easy to block off the road. You have to get a guys up the stairs to get to a roof. It's pretty easy to block off the stairs. So fortification, and of course stockpiling. This guy had enough ammo. We don't know how many shots were fired, but he had enough ammo to go 2 hours, giving these guys a hard time. And of course, efficiency. one of the biggest hallmarks of guerrilla warfare is efficiency of the guerrilla. The guerrilla uses something cheap to break something costly. Like, for example, a couple bullets to take down a fucking helicopter. That's a great example of efficiency. And if you extend that over time, you have what's called a war of attrition, where the ones who are spending an awful lot of money, they can't keep doing that forever. I will be putting this Tommy Vercetti style motherfucker's name in the hat for an ashwagandha red badge of bravery, and we salute you. Parties and party vans news. The anti-ICE PSYOP parties have kept going in Chicago, LA, Maine, NYC, and of course, Somaliopolis, PAZNIA. I kind of feel that, it's going strong, but I feel that folks are getting a bit tired of it. It may be running out of steam a little bit. Nonetheless, they are going strong. One or two new so-called autonomous zones popped up in Somaliopolis. One of them was at Cedar Avenue from 32nd to 34th. Believe it or not, those guys set up checkpoints. So they park some cars in the road and we're stopping folks that want to drive through to ask them for ID and to run their plates to see if they're like ICE agents and shit. I would also say it's a safe bet that any office for an NGO linked to anti-ICE activism could also be being run as like a spying post for spotting ICE vehicles and such. I want to say something about this creepy thing of like, because there's a vibe when you're an activist, especially an activist setting up an autonomous zone. You're fiery, you're borderline revolutionary, right? That's one thing. You're like a cool rebel, right? You want to fight the man, but you're setting up checkpoints, asking people for their papers and running their plates. That's like a kind of a worrying trend that is likely being pushed from the top down. It's not innocent little university students coming up with this stuff. It's being pushed on them from the top down. They're being put up to this, and it's a step in a bad direction for like trying to normalize that. Like, oh yeah, it's cool to spy on, snitch on people. You might think, oh well, yeah, they're doing it against bludgies, right? So it's kind of like it's not a big deal. You can kind of laugh at it, but what they're doing here, to use the words of Snowden, is they're creating an architecture of tyranny. But this is a grassroots architecture of tyranny. It starts with the ICE thing. It can later be, the target can be changed to something else, to somebody else, to another group of people. And suddenly you have all these people who are used to running plates, asking for ID, calling into state-sponsored snitch lines on people, and following people around, harassing them, etc. It's ICE now. It could be someone else later. And I think so it's kind of like a worrying trend. They're basically trying to, and succeeding at, creating like a Stasi informant, like East Germany kind of thing. So that's something I'd watch out for, like going forward into the future, to watch this trend and see how that goes. And I think it's real convenient that all this obsession with grassroots, license plate reading is coming up at the same time as there is a big pushback against license plate readers being used by the bludgies, right? Automated license plate readers used by the bludgies have seen a lot of pushback in America, across America, seen a lot of grassroots pushback. So now they're pushing grassroots license plate tracking. And I mean, you got to hand it to them. That's kind of smart, right? But let's just call that out. and look at what it is and watch it and watch that trend, because that's something to worry about and do something about, I think. Now, the so-called autonomous zone on Cedar Avenue only lasted a couple days. Believe it or not, the city bludgies actually broke it up, which is weird because they mostly have stayed out of this so far and not done anything. But they still didn't put anybody in handcuffs or anything. The Fed said they will be ramping down the ICE surge in Somaliopolis, starting by shipping 700 ICE bludgies back out of town, which is about a fourth of them. That's right, White Devil. Go back home. I'm the captain now. Also, by the way, let's just slip this in. Body cams on ICE agents nationwide. More cameras. Oh, yes, that's good, right? We got to keep the cops accountable by having them record everything they're pointed at all times. Well, you might know how I feel about that. That's kind of like a mixed bag, isn't it? Let's be real here. Cops, when they want to do something and they have a body cam on, they just unplug, they just turn it off. And then they say, oh, the body cam was malfunctioning in the report. So it doesn't really do much to hold bludgies accountable. It does a whole lot more to amp up surveillance is what it does. Next, news of parties and party vans. Oh yeah, the feds have openly told everybody that they don't want to deploy to these riots unless the state or local police ask. That's nothing new, pretty much. Like they already kind of did that, but by stating that, they're messaging it's a message saying, like, we're going to keep doing that. Like, don't worry, guys, feel free to riot as long as your state or municipality is, like, I don't know, run by Democrats or something, and they'll support or I'm sure, who knows, later maybe there'll be like Republican riots of some kind. But as long as your municipal or state guys back your riot, and they'll tell the cops to stand down, they won't ask for help from the feds, then we won't send it. So they want to let the towns burn, which is more evidence that this is all kind of coordinated, right? But they're playing both sides here. Oh yeah, New Jersey's launching a website for submitting counter ICE intel. Well, whatever. I'll tell you after the break. Here's the music and crap and robot jokes.
Hey guys, Scott here for Liberty Under Attack Publications. Looking for a Liberty-focused publisher? Liberty Under Attack publishes books and strategy guides for individuals looking to increase their personal freedom. They assist authors through the entire publishing process: proofreading, editing, cover designs, paperback and Kindle formatting, and full audiobook narration and post-production. Tell them Scott sent you and get 20% off a full service deal. To get some one-of-a-kind books or for more information, visit libertyunderattack.com.
Because that's really the issue that we're dealing with these, ghost phones, ghost pads, whatever, is that there's no way that you can organize with other people and have these distributed tribes if you have a snitch in your pocket all the time. Mm-hmm. People are literally wearing wires all the time. They have a snitch in their pocket and they're trying to do clandestine things. That's never going to work. I'm focused on this project now because I really see how the unfettered flow of communication is what really has prompted this, shift in consciousness. And that if this can't continue this way and people can't communicate freely with each other, then all the distributed networks that have formed aren't going to be very effective, and they're not going to be able to do what they could do. If you can't communicate, especially when you're basically part of a dispersed tribe at this point, if you can't communicate without being monitored, it basically hamstrings anything, anything going forward.
Step up your privacy and order a ghost phone today. Just visit libertyunderattack.com/ghost phone. Again, libertyunderattack.com/ghost phone. And make sure to keep a lookout for more ghost pads, privacy tools, freedom boxes, and more. libertyunderattack.com is the website. Liberty Under Attack Publications. Share your story, find your freedom.
"2048, the second volume in the Brushfire thriller series, takes place in the not-so-distant future. In the second half of the 21st century, the War of Ideas took place. The creation of second realms and individualist decentralized freedom cells spread across geographical regions, and the practical ideas of liberty, voluntary interaction, and peace took hold. The Free Society in 2048 is loosely based on Samuel E. Konkin III's Phases of Agorism, in which the destruction of the state would be realistically accomplished through the establishment of pockets of free individuals, black and gray markets, and the spreading of the ideas of freedom and liberty, until the demand for an overarching state was no longer perceived as essential, and individualism and voluntary interaction prevailed. The original creators of the Freedom Cells who led the world to a better place are still scattered about, living their lives, including Maxine, the late Henry Tucker's love, and the now washed-up but stubborn punk rocker Warren, still reside in the Appalachian Mountains. Maxine's nephew, Vince, and his boy Tommy, who had been band nomads ever since Tommy's mom left to pursue a materialistic quest for fortune in the never-ending rat race, went to visit Auntie Max on her homestead on Jim Mountain Road. Although Max is very happy for the visit, she has an ulterior motive. Her close friend she met during her revolutionary days, Isaac Hopper, is trapped in a geographical area previously known as New York City, now known as the State Zone. The State Zone is one of only a handful of remnant states where an overarching power-hungry government rules over its citizens with aggressive force. Together, Warren, Vince, and Tommy team up and use their knowledge, including advanced hacking techniques, low-tech ciphers, IRC encrypted chat, and cryptocurrencies to infiltrate and evade the authorities in the State Zone and bring back Isaac to freedom. But their mission, the rescue of Isaac, Auntie Max's close friend and confidant, isn't going to be easy. They're up against a powerful authoritarian Hydra state, a massive surveillance apparatus, a relentless and murderous police state, and a propaganda arm that will not stop until extremist terrorists known as the Trio, Warren, Vince, and Tommy, are brought to justice. Will the trio pull off the rescue of Max's longtime friend Isaac Hopper? Will the forces of good free individuals prevail against the sadist forces of evil. Find out in the second volume of the Brushfire Thriller series, 2048, available exclusively via Liberty Under Attack Publications. Just visit libertyunderattack.com/2048. Again, libertyunderattack.com/2048, or snag them both in the Brushfire bundle. libertyunderattack.com/2048 bundle. Liberty Under Attack Publications. Share your story. Find your freedom.
And now, back to Cloak and Dagger with host Thane Riddle.
As I was trying to say, New Jersey launching website for submitting counter ICE intel. That's kind of a trend. They did that somewhere else I talked about on the show. I think it was Maine. State-run websites for submitting intel on federal agents. A PR move, yes. Virtue signaling, yes. Fake civil war or civil political conflict, yes. Fake civil Cold War, cold civil war. Ever heard that one? Yes. Normalizing snitch lines and reporting people to government websites, extra double yes. That's yes. That's the name of the game here. It starts with, making it something that, nobody likes. Like even we don't like ICE, right? Starts with that, and then they move the target just a little bit. They expand ICE is bad because they're racist. Well, these other guys are racist. There's this white supremacist organization I heard that's growing. It's called PAZNIA. It's like a network for white people want to move to farms and shit to get away from all the niggers or something, and they want to kill all the niggers, something like that. Anyway, in cow health news, yeah, that's right. Cow health news is back. Yeah. Well, let's hear it for cow health. All right. So remember, last year in cow health news, we were talking about the New World screwworm outbreak and how it's growing and growing in South America, Central America, Mexico, and coming more and more north. And I was saying, better watch out for that beef supply because this could be a problem in America. It's kind of looking like a matter of time. Well, that's happening. It's slowly marching. We're at the tipping point, or the turning point right now. Because it's in northern Mexico for sure. It's growing in northern Mexico, right up on the imaginary border drawn on the map. And there has been one case of fucking New World screwworm in a fucking horse or something in Florida. Somebody brought a horse into Florida. There was a New World screwworm case. The alarm bells are ringing in Texas and Southwest America. It's kind of a matter of time before it starts coming out that there's cases of New World screwworm hitting America. I think it's worrying. I think, beef is basically the most nutritious, important food there is. Dairy not far behind for those who can tolerate it or who get the right kind of dairy. And so yeah, you might want to stock up on that beef and dairy, and do get in touch with the cool local farmers, the kind that sell raw milk and the grass-fed beef, and they don't like the government. Maybe more than one, maybe getting to know more than one nearby would be good, like before there's a shortage. Before, you don't want to be one of many people trying to get in. You want to get in before, because sometimes those guys stop taking new members, and they do it for much less than this. Sometimes they do it just because they feel like it, pretty much. What was I going to say about this? Oh yeah, another thing, another aspect of this is the state has meat in their crosshairs. So any little excuse to fuck over everyone, especially small farmers, they'll do it. They'll be like, oh, we have a fake test that fraudulently says there was one case of New World screwworm 100 miles away from you. You have to kill all your cattle now legally. This is another aspect of things, and it's another reason why it is so critical for the second realms to have more farming in them. Meaning, you don't tell the state that you have cows. That's a crazy thought, right? Well, you just don't tell them. Just don't tell them you're farming, and you have. I know it's hard to hide something like that, from inspection, but the least you could do is don't tell them, and don't tell them that you're selling to people. How's that? Why don't you just go only second realm, and find and if anyone's doing that already, if you can find them, that would be good for you. Logistical threats. Cuba's power grid is struggling even more than before, because third world shithole socialist or socialist leaning countries do have a tendency to have lots of blackouts and shortages, but more than usual, Cuba is having blackouts and fuel shortages. That's funny. Wait a second. Wasn't there something in the news in the last few weeks? Something about fuel going into Cuba or being stopped from going into Cuba. Oh, right. There was a U.S. blockade around Cuba, stopping them from getting oil. Right. But you don't think that has something to do with the fuel shortage, do you? More on this later in the war news bit. I'll touch on that. But yeah, I don't know if you're in Cuba, you should try to get out of there or something. Do they still have a dry feet policy where if you sneak into Florida, as long as you get away with it, you ever heard of that dry foot policy? There's a game. The U.S. federal government plays a game with Cubans where they'll try to stop you from immigrating illegally to Florida. If the National Guard catches your fucking submarine or whatever, they'll try to stop you, but if you make it, if you beat them in the game, then you get to be a refugee, right? But I don't recommend that. Just if you make it to Florida, just don't tell anybody. That would be the best. Nuclear and biochemical threats news. Illegal bioweapons research lab was busted in Vegas, of all places. It's kind of, I'm sure there's a joke in there about gambling, they're gambling. It's kind of dangerous, they're playing some kind of roulette with the virus. Oh, well, maybe this year that will accidentally leak an experimental infection into Las Vegas. Anyway, this guy David aka Jabe Jesse Zhu. Let's give you some background on this guy, because it's not the first time he's been caught for something like this. This is the guy who owns the house. It's a residential property, where they had a bioweapons research lab off the books. Now, this guy owned another illegal bioweapons research lab in southwestern America and got in trouble for it, and is still in court for it. I think this happened in 2022. I think it's a place called Reedley, California. And the Reedley, California lab got busted in 2022. All right. And I think they're in court to this day. There's been a lot of evidence of both the CDC and the FBI being a part of a cover-up about all this stuff. They've been very, like, sort of willfully not doing their jobs. So the CDC was sent samples to test from the lab, and they were lying about the results, or not testing everything or whatever. The FBI, it's easy to see that they weren't really looking into stuff too seriously. So for one, this guy Jesse, as I like to call him, as his friends call him, we call him Jesse, but David He is his legal name that's on his birth certificate, so the story goes. And this property, and they know that he runs illegal bioweapons research. He was caught for it. He's going to court for it. And this new property that got busted was simply owned by him under his legal name out in the open. So the first thing that comes to mind is, that's funny that the FBI didn't check his other properties, right? It's kind of weird, right? To make it even weirder, it turns out that somebody snitched on this property months ago or something. There's some fucking Mexican cleaners or something can't keep their mouth shut because they got sick. Some cleaners were hired to work there, and they kind of knew what was going on. Some weird shit was going on in there. It's a lab, and they got sick. One cleaner got sick. She said that other cleaners got sick with something. So perhaps something, they're not being super careful about whatever bioweapons they're messing with there. And because that's how it goes, but cleaner snitched on them months ago, and the FBI received that report and didn't check the house. So it's kind of making you feel like they might have known about it for years, or almost certainly knew about it for years, perhaps. And apparently the reason they found out about it, and this is a good takeaway, it's something to learn from. A garden hose was seen going from, and a garden hose outside the house was seen going into the house. And somebody saw that. I can't remember who saw that now, but somebody saw that, and they they snitched to the cops about it, because that's something you see in grow-ops. All right, where they have the garden hose going into the house. It's a grow-op thing. They thought it was a grow-op. And that's when they checked for some reason. And maybe it was the local police that checked, I guess, that time. And so it wasn't the FBI. Maybe they didn't have the memo that this is supposed to be covered up. And they checked it out and found out about the lab. So that's one good takeaway. If you have a grow-op or a bioweapons research lab or anything, really, don't put the garden hose clearly going into the house. That's a known thing, I guess, that people sometimes some people snitch on that. So yeah, it looks an awful lot like the FBI keeps covering this up. The CDC keeps covering this up. Something that a lot of people will think, because the guy has a Chinese name, that means it's PRC, People's Republic of China. It's CHICOMs, as Alex Jones would say. It's CHICOM, bioweapons research, the CHICOM scientists infiltrating America, which, may not be wrong. But what a lot of folks don't grasp is that they work together. They're hand in hand. Yes, they're enemies. The U.S. and the Chi-Coms are enemies, but when it comes to bioweapons research, they have a lot of history of working together. So the answer is not necessarily one or the other. It may be both. I mean, the U.S. just wants all the motherfuckers living in their country to die anyway. So like they probably don't care. They're like, yeah, man, go for it. Yeah, you want help? Do you want us to sell you some bioweapons research? No problem. They're always very friendly when it comes to that. And I guess the Chinese think that the U.S. is suckers or something. They like don't get the capitalist greed. They think I don't know why he sounds like a Spanish person or something. Anyway, in war news, another U.S. aircraft carrier force is heading for the Arabian Sea to threaten Iran. And the U.S. forces that have been near Iran already keep carrying out military exercises. This isn't merely so they can strut around like cocks, so I'm sure they do like doing that too. It's a military smokescreen tactic carried out so that it is hard to tell when the U.S.'s true attack on Iran is happening, right? If they're doing exercises all the time, then it's like a smokescreen of constant false positives. They're acting like they're attacking all the time. So then it's harder to tell when it's happening. It's a military tactic. Now, I believe the next U.S. attack on Iran is indeed coming soon. I think that's, I don't think it's unsure whether it's going to happen. I think it is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Maybe by next week, who knows? Maybe by next week it'll happen, and I'll let you know how it's going. The Iranian state has not altogether taken this macho posturing, lying down. They have thorough drone surveillance of the U.S. forces, and they've even done a few little things to troll the U.S. They flew one of their drones way too close to a U.S. ship, so the U.S. had to shoot it down. It's like a symbolic incident. I would argue not that big a deal, but it's posturing. It's a message. It's like I'm not afraid of you, and we're just gonna mess around. We're gonna fuck with you like little gremlins. Now, the Iranian state did something way funnier than that, though. On the same day as they were having negotiations about their nuclear program, Iranian ships seemingly tried to hijack a fucking U.S. Navy oil tanker. Not a ship that's run by the Navy itself, mind you. At least I don't think that's how it works. I think it's like a crony corporation that pretty much fuels the U.S. Navy with tankers such as this one. That's ballsy and pretty damn funny. I mean, look, hey, the Iranian state hijacks ships all the time. And indeed, they caught 2 oil tankers for reals, I think, lately. But this is a whole nother level because, they tried to take the oil tanker that fuels the Navy, and they did it on the same day as their nuclear program negotiations, which is it's very funny. I've heard some saying they think that's a bad play, like, oh, that's not very diplomatic. Please, don't give me that shit. Okay, how do you think the U.S. or Israel act towards Iran? If they were having negotiations about an Israeli nuclear program, Israel would be tempted to nuke someone that day. This is nothing next to the way the U.S. and Israel approach diplomacy. So if anything, and like everyone knows, there's no one's going to see eye to eye here. Okay, one side's thing is disarm yourself, and the other side's thing is no. There's your negotiation. It's just that's exactly what you should do if you're negotiating with the U.S. and Israel and stuff. You should try to steal the Navy's oil tanker on the same day. Anyway, China is helping Iran with fancy radar. I mean, fancy is a strong word. With radar systems to help detect U.S. stealth bombers and things like that. It's the same stuff that they gave to Venezuela. The radar systems are cool, but they are likely to be quite vulnerable to attack. I mean, like, I think they're like sitting ducks, so they may not last long, but I don't know. Maybe they'll do something. Maybe it's just a symbolic gesture. Now, Mossad, of course, is on top of tweeting about their assistance with regime change in Iran. They are now openly meeting with Washington over the issue. I mean, I get it, right? Maybe it's not a secret or something, but I just feel like it's a bad look because it's like Iranians they aren't known for liking Israel. You know, just saying. Like I think even the Iranians that want regime change and they don't. Who knows? Maybe, I mean, they might not be worried as much as they should be about the strings that come attached with the CIA and Mossad, but they don't like Israel. I don't think even those guys like Israel. I don't think any big group of Iranians likes Israel. So I don't know. I feel like this could kind of backfire in some ways. But I think they can handle it. Whatever, they can handle it. They can. I mean, these guys run Nazi organizations, so they have no problem running like Mossad has no problem running an anti-Israeli organization like Hamas, for example. Wink, wink. So yeah, about the U.S. fucking with Cuba and the oil blockade and such. I just wanted to say the U.S. put out a travel warning about people going to Cuba and about folks who are already in Cuba. Like, you know, they're kind of like pushing for Americans to leave Cuba or not go there. And what they're saying on its face is this is because of all the blackouts and fuel shortages. You know, that's why there's a travel warning. But I haven't seen anyone else saying this, but I feel like the elephant in the room is, well, you know, there's that, but there's also the thing where it kind of looks like you're about to attack Cuba. So it's like a pretense for them to issue a travel warning with like an ulterior motive, right? That like, yeah, you should leave Cuba, you know, like, because there's blackouts, you know, and also because we're about to bomb it. Just a hunch. The New START treaty, the nuclear blah 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 disarmament war treaty that the Russian state never followed in the first place, has finally ended. Good timing, just in time for World War III. And Russia proudly proclaimed that it is no longer held back from nuclear war, openly stating nuclear war is on the table. But hey, they say stuff like that all the time. I mean, who really cared about the treaty anyway? It's a paper tiger. And here's some news that's actually an ad, but it's actually news because it's a new ad. We're going to talk about the Paul Rosenberg bundle. You ever heard of the OG cypherpunk author, Paul Rosenberg? He's written some books. Truthfully, most of his books that you'll see on Amazon are like technical guides on like fiber optics and shit that you haven't heard of. But turns out that little nerd, that random ass nerd, Paul Rosenberg, is also the guy who wrote A Lodging of Wayfaring Men, maybe the most well-known work of cypherpunk fiction in the world. You may have also heard of his other cypherpunk fiction work, The Breaking Dawn, not to be confused with that other book written by a Mormon lady for 13-year-old girls to schlick over sparkly vampires. But in case you haven't heard of these two books, that's all right, because I have some ad copy to read about them. And boy, is it unnecessarily long ad copy. A Lodging of Wayfaring Men was put out right after 9/11, at first by an anonymous author. This book tells the story of freedom pioneers who create a free digital economy hidden within a video game, and all the cool shit that leads to. This story is a thought-provoking dive into many sides of the human experience, and it is very ahead of its time when it comes to putting forward a lot of very good ideas and strategies when it comes to liberation, which pretty much inspired a whole generation of crypto-anarchists. Everybody knows A Lodging of Wayfaring Men is pretty much a must-read. Now, Here's some ad copy for The Breaking Dawn. The Breaking Dawn begins with an attack that crashes investment markets, brings down economic systems, and splits the world in two. What's left of the first realm is in the stranglehold of mass surveillance and central planning, clean cities and empty minds, where everything is assured and everything is ordered. But in the world outside, the power grid and other mass infrastructure have been left to rot. There is little in the way of long-range communication, and those left there are thrown 50 years behind the times. But that is where human minds are left to find their own bearings. And from there, the story unfolds in ways you'd never guess. Now, that story sounds a lot like what I think might happen in real life, boss. That sounds like what we talk about on the show, doesn't it? The cyber pandemic and World War III and the potential for the cities to be really locked down like crazy smart city totalitarian blah blah blah, but outside they'll lose control, and gives us an opportunity to really get a foothold. It's the kind of stuff I talk about, folks. This is premonitory shit. Okay, I should read The Breaking Dawn. I haven't read that shit. That sounds like it's way up my alley. You might want to read that this year or something, before it happens in real life. So you can pick up either of these books on our very own Liberty Under Attack. And now you can even get a special deal on both books with the new Paul Rosenberg bundle, which is the whole thing this ad is for. Check out the Paul Rosenberg bundle at libertyunderattack.com/Paul. That's libertyunderattack.com/PAUL. And leave him a note saying, Thane sent you, boss. Self-Liberation book bundle is, of course, still here. Because why stop at the fucking 2 Paul Rosenberg books when you can get fucking 27 books that I think likely include the Paul Rosenberg books? I don't know. I didn't look at the list, but it probably includes that. I don't know. libertyunderattack.com/SL bundle. It has almost every book on Liberty Under Attack, 27 books. Some of the most down-to-earth, edgy, libertarian, edgelord books, practical stuff, fiction, all the best, all the most cutting-edge stuff from the 21st century and beyond, okay? From Earth and beyond, and before, from under the Earth, from the hollow Earth societies, the giants, the Nordic giants that live in the Earth have written at least 30% of the books on Liberty Under Attack. So go to libertyunderattack.com/SL bundle. Start your self-liberation library today. Save big. Rebuild your library as Veritas PAZNIA Consulate rebuilds its library. It's libertyunderattack.com/SL bundle. By helping to build your library, you help PAZNIA rebuild its library by spending a bunch of money at libertyunderattack.com/SL bundle. Now, that's the definition of a 360 win. When you liberate me, you liberate yourself, liberate Shane, liberate, libate, and librarify yourself and the world with a big fat fucking 360 win at libertyunderattack.com/SL bundle. House burn down special. Honorary stakeholder ad. Do you want to officially join the second realm? Why have you not done it already? Because it's too expensive? Go fuck yourself. You know what else is expensive? Having your house burnt down, which happened to Shane. So give them a bunch of money, but also get perks for giving them a bunch of money by going to PAZNIA.com/Thane. That's THANE. And check out all the perks of giving them a bunch of money and put in coupon code Thane to get $25 off. Less money, same amount of perks. You will get fucking discounts on other hustles in the Agora, more access to the PAZNIA network, an elite organization of Chads that have their houses burned down every day, and maybe even some free PAZNIA merch, though the merch was actually burned. So you might have to wait on that. PAZNIA Radio Network on first and third Mondays of every month, right here on the PAZNIA Radio Network at 7 p.m. Central. Richard Greaser, the Dick Greaser, will take over Second Realm airwaves for a Music Monday. He's a credentialed journalist, award-winning songwriter, connoisseur of non-KYC cigarettes and blah, 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 deep tracks, and he's funny. He makes the AI skits and the jokes, okay? It's funny. Good time. Go to PAZNIA.com/radio to find links to stream on YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble. Now I'm supposed to talk to you about down to earth tips. Maybe I'll do like a short. I'll do a short down to earth tip this time. It's kind of like very short though. I don't know. Do you feel like getting fucked over again by this show? Fucking you over with its lazy, low production value and whatever gay shit. Look, it's already fucking. I've already done this for an hour and a half. Okay, forgive me. All right, we're advertising, helping out people who've had their house burned down. Okay, that's what I did instead of having a long down to earth tip. How do you like that, Buster? Privacy, transportation, going a long way by water. Before we talked about going a short way by water. Now we talk about going a long way by water. This is where you can't swim. You can't use a small, shitty little watercraft with a boat motor that you can carry. This is a long way. You're sailing the high seas over here. How do we do this privately? It's a lot harder than doing it privately, going a short way. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so there's not much to be said about it, which is real convenient for me. First pick that I will talk about. You can buy a ticket with whatever name should be tied to the trip. That's one thing you can do, right? You can paper trip. You think about what your trip is all about, why you're going on this trip, what you're going to do, what kinds of crimes are going to occur in this location you're visiting at the same time as you're there, stuff like that. Or maybe conversely, what crimes will occur in the spot where you're leaving so that you have an alibi. Maybe that's what you're doing. Whatever it is an option, of course, to leave a record of your travel, but it could be under a name that is right for that. Most folks have one, set of documents with like a legal identity, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. But if you paper trip, if you have a friend in some weird third world country, that'll make you an ID that's not even fake, with like a new name and stuff, or you can fake the documents needed, depending on, how they, look into how they authenticate it and stuff. Paper tripping is kind of another thing that I'm not talking about now, but that's one pick. Just buy a ticket, right? And use the right name for the job. Now, the sneakiest way to go a long way by water is with your own ship or a friend's ship, whether it's a friend that's close or a friend that you just made so you could do this. It's much like I said before with paying niggas with watercrafts for helping you go somewhere by the water, but this is a bit hairier. It's a longer way by water. You might be crossing state, international borders, and trying to do that without anyone knowing. It's not physically that hard to do, truth be told, but it can be hard to find the right person. It's hard to find the right motherfucker who will agree to that, who has the balls to do it. Because there are a lot of cases where, you're going a short way, take the US-Canada border, right? With the Great Lakes. You think motherfuckers don't cross the border illegally with their boats to go fishing because they know a good fishing spot on the other side or something like that? It happens. I'll tell you, it happens. You just got to find the right motherfucker to be like, hey, just like drop me off. Now that's an example of, it's a short, long distance by water, but the high seas, whatever, it's not that different. There are folks who sail all the time, and you just got to hitch a ride and find the right spot to be dropped off and try not to get intercepted. There are, like, depending on where you're going, you have to research what's the National Guard situation look like there? Like, what kinds of boats are fucking swimming around and what happens, and what's a good spot. It takes some research and some balls. And like at the end of the day, the worst that can happen is you gotta be turned back, unless it's a nasty government, like it's the Thai government or something. Then they might want to take you and fucking sentence you to capital punishment or the death penalty or something. So watch out for that. Now, a pretty sneaky way to go a long way by water is not for the faint of heart. This is what we call being an old school stowaway, stowing away. This is scary, and it needs to be thought through. You got to think through this. Now, inside help can be nice. It's not going to be probably the captain of the ship or whatever. Or maybe it will be if it's a smaller ship. But inside help can be nice, but it may not be needed if you have a good plan and you have lots of balls and you're ready to take a little risk. Somebody shipping cargo or fishing, could help you stow away. Somebody on a passenger ship. The thing about passenger ships is they got lots of motherfuckers on them, that aren't particularly trusted, right? A passenger ship can be filled with motherfuckers who, aren't trust. So in other words, you could get a friend to get a ticket to go on a ship, and then you have someone who is on the inside. The specifics, you're gonna have to pay me for that, and also we're gonna have to make some shit up as we go along, because I don't fucking know. It depends on what's going on there, but not for the faint of heart. But basically it's something like this. You sneak onto the ship, or more likely onto some cargo that will be put on the ship later. This is how it's mostly done, right? You have a cargo ship that's got a million fucking shipping containers on it. A lot of human trafficking is done this way. It's basically the same thing. You're on it's like The Wire, it's like I think that's season 2 of The Wire. The Wire is a good show. You should watch that show. Season 2, it's like season 2 of The Wire. Okay. You're going to live in a shipping container for a little while, so get comfortable. Now you're either going to stay cramped up in there with your own food, water, and your shitty fucking toilet, no pun intended, or you sneak out and you blend in somehow with crew and passengers. Each one of those things comes with its issues. I think it's better to stay inside it, but it's not pleasant. It takes a while to go by water a long way. And then, you sneak off the ship, or more likely the cargo, at a later time. Once again, this is mostly done with help from someone on both sides, at least someone on the land who will help you getting onto the cargo and off the cargo. You don't necessarily need anyone on the ship to know what's going on. It's mostly for the best that they don't. That's that. Go fuck yourself. Great down to his tip. Done. Now, of course, if you want to ask anything or say anything about any of the tips I've given on today's show or an older show, call in and in a little bit, PAZNIA.com/call2, or you can find my contact details of VonuPodcast.com/CD and send me some fan mail on Session or SimpleX. Now, do you want a more secure and private phone, tablet, or laptop, but you don't want to do the work yourself? Go to libertyunderattack.com/Thane. That's THANE. You can look at some Pixel 7 privacy phones with, I don't know, we might have more. We might have newer stuff than that by now. I don't know. This is an old ad read. Pixel 7 privacy phone. Let's say Pixel privacy phones with Graphene OS or something. ThinkPads with neutralized Intel management engine, open source firmware, whatever Linux OS you like. I would recommend Cubes. And I believe you can get an X200 tablet as well. libertyunderattack.com/Thane. And if you want to ask anything about those goodies, you want something that's not in stock, you want a custom job, email Shane at libertyunderattack.com. That's SHANE at libertyunderattack.com. Trust me, folks, not easy to neutralize the IME and flash your own firmware to a laptop, and you do want this done, save yourself the headache. Buy Jammin's goodies. Support the Second Realm, support PAZNIA, support yourself. Alex Jones 360 win. Now, let me talk about feeling some pain. We recently heard a story from a boss, a fellow boss, who had his house burned down, and he ran really hard into a corner, and he broke his rib, probably. Now, you breaking your ribs easy, no big deal. It heals on its own. You don't got to do anything, but it hurts. It hurts. It hurts when you move certain ways. It hurts when you breathe. Yeah, depending on where you crack the rib and whatever. Anyway, if your body hurts for some reason, okay, which it will, and if it doesn't, it's about to, because if you don't fucking listen up, I'm gonna hurt you. Got it? All right. Pain Liberator. It's a product that we're selling. Do you have a problem with that, you commie pinko bitch? libertyunderattack.com/pain Thane. PAINTHANE. libertyunderattack.com/pain Thane. Pain Liberator is a beautiful, amazing, miraculous product that is unlike anything else being sold on Earth. There's no competition. Okay, go fuck yourself. All the Pain Liberator has burnt in a fire in real life. So it's not in stock, but you can buy it. You can back order it now. If you give him the money, then he'll be like, oh shit, I got to make it. If you don't buy it, then he'll be lazy or something, and he'll take too long to make it. So just buy it now so that he's motivated to make more. This is really one of the best products on Earth. It's 20% DMSO with a base of colloidal silver water with magnesium and aspirin. Great for most any kind of pain. Sprained ankle, sore back, headaches, toothache, jaw pain. DMSO and aspirin, each on their own, are miraculous when put together in Pain Liberator. It's fucking magical, okay? The DMSO brings the aspirin deep into your tissues so that it starts acting right away in seconds on those tissues where you sprayed it. Nothing like this exists. Buy it. libertyunderattack.com/pain Thane. It's ridiculous. He could charge more than that if he wanted to, because there's no competition, and it's really good. Anyway, do it. Buy it. libertyunderattack.com/pain Thane. It's really good. Seriously, you have to have it. It's like, this is like if you don't get it, it's literally a security problem. Okay. Because this is essential for your bug out bag, your medical bags. You should have this shit. And don't forget that PAZNIA itself has many projects to start this year to help you, boss. All projects running full sale. Okay, it doesn't matter. Rayo 2 doesn't give a shit that his house burns down. He burns his house down for breakfast. He's going to build another one and burn that one down too. So check out all the things you can fund. One of the items will be the recreational house burning fund. Check him out. PAZNIA.com/fund. I think maybe they need to update some of those items because of certain things burning. But you can read there about these projects as PAZNIA Radio Network, a low bandwidth audio feed, Mumble voice chat server, PAZCraft gaming server, PeerTube server, the funding the digital upkeep, whatever, that computer burnt, but it's now you're funding the whatever. HBO star Jason Henza paid for some of it. Maybe they could use more now that they have to get a new one. And of course the off-grid wellness shed, which is now, I'm sure, going to cost, well, I don't know, maybe it's not going to cost twice as much. Maybe insurance will pay for it. I don't fucking know, but pay for it. It's expensive, and it's a really important thing to have. Want to start these projects to help you, boss. Go fund yourself over at PAZNIA.com/fund or PAZNIA.com/Monero for the Monero Fund. You can earmark your coins for the projects you like best. And if you want to donate over a few $100 worth, just get a PAZNIA stakeholder membership. Go to PAZNIA.com/Thane. Use coupon code Thane. Now it's time for fan mail. We have good fan mail this episode. We will be going into overdrive, of course. You can, I don't know, does someone want to call in? You can if you want to. I mean, we've had like 2 call-ins in the whole history of the show. I still have to talk about building second realms and all that crap, but I don't care if you want to call in before that. Do I sound like I give a shit here? Am I putting out that vibe that I care? I can be flexible. Anyway, I'm supposed to read fan mail now. So first, let's read the guy who pays for his fan mail. but still gets the same fucking service as the people who just send me their message without paying me. We need to have some sort of elite tier super chat thing. We need to have something special that happens when people pay us to read something. Anyway, Thought Crime Boss. Did you guess it? Did you guess that it was Thought Crime Boss? Thought Crime Boss with a donation at xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio, probably. He says, "Hey Thane, what is your opinion on the BTC devs / Epstein connection? Were the big blockers right? Was Bitcoin hijacked, like Roger Ver claims? Do you think BTC devs are taking quantum risk seriously enough? Also, why am I poor now? I was promised Lambos." What's my opinion on the BTC dev / Epstein connection? Were the big blockers right? Okay. My opinion on the BTC dev / Epstein connection. I am not shocked to hear that. I only know a little bit about it. I don't pay super close attention to like gossipy stuff like that. We're using open source projects here, so like the problems that occur are out in the open, and forks can happen and do happen. Of course, it's one thing to say that, right? But I guess in actual practice, it's like, because Bitcoin Core got to keep the ticker on all the exchanges, and they got to keep the brand of just Bitcoin. It's just Bitcoin. And they have like, I guess, a trademark, maybe. I don't know. That shit. And don't forget, that's all coming from centralization, right? Like, that's all. Trademarks are illegitimate and enforced by state threats. And tickers on exchanges are, once again, those are centralized exchanges that these days are, they're run by like crony corporations and shit that, in their own way anyway, they've been kind of regulated into that position, though they aren't. Well, some are more connected than others, I'll put it that way. So yeah, that all comes from centralization, and the everyday pleb, doesn't get it. Like they don't get that's it's not real. It's not like, the networks aren't about that shit. They're not about exchanges and trademarks. It's about decentralized protocols and open source software. There is no one true Bitcoin. All forks of Bitcoin, all network forks are Bitcoin. They're forks of Bitcoin. So whatever. My opinion, my understanding is that some of the Bitcoin Core devs links with Epstein are like iffy, and that there's one big one who is like a smoking gun, because some emails were put out or whatever. The one like smoking gun one was like, what's his name? Jeremy Rubin or some shit like that. I don't really know their names. But I think he had an email exchange that came out with Epstein where he was like, "Hey, I'm an up and coming guy who could be worth buying. Would you be possibly interested in buying me?" And Epstein responds by saying, "Yeah, you're pretty cheap. It's no problem for me. I can buy you. I can pay your tuition. I can give you a salary," and so on. So that's kind of like the most that's kind of like the most straightforward smoking gun bad exchange you could have with someone like that. But the other core devs that were linked to him, I think it was a little more iffy with the links, where I think some of them were even saying no to meeting him or something. But I'm not shocked that someone like Epstein, he's a power broker, he buys people. That's what he does. That's his job. He gets his hooks in people one way or another. That's his job. So of course, like it would be crazy if they didn't want to buy Bitcoin Core devs. Like it would be like, what are these guys doing? They're sleeping on the job. So of course they did. It's silly that people think that that's shocking or whatever. And yeah, folks like Roger Ver, folks over the years have very openly talked about this. Have very openly talked about how the Bitcoin core devs act, who they're linked with, and they and these mining pools have kind of, you could say in a way, hijacked their fork of Bitcoin, and done things that are in their interests, or so they think. So yeah, of course. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? There's nothing magical about Bitcoin Core that it's seems ignorant for people to be married to that, married to Bitcoin. Like even if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, it's like, if you're going to be a Bitcoin maximalist, then you should, if anything, you should have more problems with Bitcoin Core than others do. Because like me, as someone who's not a Bitcoin maximalist, I'm like, oh yeah, there's utility in Bitcoin Core. If I was a Bitcoin maximalist, I'd be like really offended. I'd be much more offended by Bitcoin Core in a way. Where the big blockers, right? I don't feel strongly about that, but I would lean towards yes. I mean, like, probably, yeah. Is what do you think is better? Making a cryptocurrency that actually works, or trying to patch on extra layers that to shoddily do what layer one should be doing in the first place? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's utility to both approaches. I'm not like totally anti Bitcoin Core, but were they right? I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, likely, yeah, but it's up for debate. Was Bitcoin hijacked? No one can hijack Bitcoin. Bitcoin's an idea, but is Bitcoin Core heavily influenced by specific vested interests? Yes. Plain to see for years. Yes. And another thing that isn't, I guess Monero folks talk about, but I think the way that the network is kind of dominated by a few mining pools is pretty nasty stuff. And it's not great. And the potential for a 51% attack has been there for years. And when alarm bells should be ringing and everyone should be caring about this, it's just like no one's talking about it or cares. It's funny. And I guess the thinking is like, well, a mining pool is decentralized, right? It's just a bunch of individual little miners or giant buildings full of ASICs making up the mining pool, right? That's true, kind of. But once again, I wonder what the makeup of the mining pool is, right? Like, how many companies own, let's say, 51% of a single mining pool of their hash rate. And also, you'll find that if you look at a mining pool's website, like a big Bitcoin mining pool's website, and how do you join it and all that shit, you'll find that a lot of them are KYC. So that means they have a nice big fat list of just about everybody who didn't give them fake documents or something, which is most of them. They have a nice big fat list so that, all the state has to do is come and ask the mining pool, like, hey, can we have the list? You don't have a choice, by the way. I'm pointing a gun at you. And they'll be like, oh, okay, here you go. And then they'll have a list of where all the ASICs are and everything. The state could seize the hash rate of Bitcoin. Do you ever think about that? Probably not. Most people don't, do they? Because there's no security culture in Bitcoin mining. They're supposed to be securing the network, right? And it's supposed to be secure because it's decentralized. And but without privacy, you don't have fucking security. So Monero doesn't solve all those problems that I just brought up. Like if you look at Monero's like hash rate makeup or whatever, you'll find that there are certain mining pools that are big on Monero too. Maybe it's not quite as bad though. It's designed to be more decentralized, and P2 pool, you know, it would be nice if P2 pool, which is a decentralized mining pool, was bigger on that list, and it has grown, and it is one of the biggest ones, and it has grown over time, and hopefully it can be the biggest one day. That would be nice to see. But nonetheless, you know, Monero has much better security culture, and like the same thing couldn't happen. You know, I don't think the state could seize the Monero hash rate, put it that way. But it could maybe with Bitcoin. It could certainly perform an attack, a physical attack, to get 51% of the hash rate. Just a thought, you know, just a thought. Funny thought that people don't talk about, even though it's kind of a big deal. But yeah, the truth is proof of work, you know, folks don't want to hear stuff like this, but proof of work is a flawed way of issuing cryptocurrency. Blockchains are also kind of flawed. You know, I mean, these things are great. They're really important technologies, whatever. But just like folks, you know, they weren't driving the fucking Ford Model T or whatever 100 years later, 100 years after Bitcoin's invented, it's probably not going to be the same technology behind the most used cryptocurrencies. Just a hunch. And yeah, I think I'm not like 100% sure that, you know, chainless, you know, proof of resource type cryptocurrencies are going to like fucking take everything over. But I do think they're important. I think they're more elegant. I think they're kind of better in a way for at least some things. And they need to be developed more and pushed more. And so that's why I'm into that so much. But hey, I like Monero too and stuff. So I appreciate all the projects. We have a multi-coin past, multi-coin present, probably a multi-coin future. And finally, do you think BTC devs are taking quantum risk seriously enough? I think, is anyone taking quantum risk seriously enough? Almost nobody is, in my opinion. Like, I know that at least in the Monero devs are well aware of the threat of future quantum cryptanalysis, and it's kind of on maybe the back burner in a way, but it's something I know they want to do for sure. For Bitcoin Core, namely, is that something they're really thinking much about? I don't know about that. I know that there's a project that's kind of new, I think, called the Bitcoin Bitcoin post-quantum or something. They're testing out a Bitcoin-like network where I think the signature algorithm is replaced with a post-quantum one. But what about RSA? I wonder what's the deal there, because it's not just the ECDSA or whatever signature algorithm that's not post-quantum. It's also the RSA that's not post-quantum, right? So shouldn't they be doing both? And that's just Shore's algorithm. What about the threat from Grover's algorithm? Grover's algorithm could maybe threaten mining and proof of work later on. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of work to be done, and it's not. Oh, and by the way, to your point, were the big blockers right? Guess what? Post-quantum signatures are going to take up way more block space. They're going to take up like dozens of times the block space as the pre-quantum signatures. So were the big blockers right? Yeah, I you know, and that has something to do with the post-quantum issue too. Because not only can you get more transactions, but you can get post-quantum transactions fitting in a block. Yeah, I don't know. Someone is working on it. I know the Bitcoin post-quantum project is working on this research. The question is, which forks of Bitcoin are going to adopt this stuff, take it seriously, and so on? Or is there just going to have to be a whole new fork because no one fucking does anything? Another funny thing about this is coins like Bitcoin, like pretty much every Bitcoin fork, that have no privacy features, basically, can, in a way, they can get away with waiting before becoming post-quantum, because the only things they have to worry about are cryptocurrency being stolen and mining being broken, and coins being forged by a quantum attacker. So as long as they adopt post-quantum cryptography before the threat comes, even if it's at the last fucking minute, then they'll be all right. Monero, however, it's not the same story, because Monero has privacy features that will be broken, at least some of which will be broken by a quantum attacker. So that means as we speak, the Monero transactions we are creating will one day have the lid blown on them and some of the privacy torn off them by a quantum attacker. It's more or less a matter of fact, a matter of time that that's going to happen. So the sooner Monero can move to post-quantum, the better. It's a matter of urgency. Is it being treated with that urgency? No. I know that the devs are really good. The Monero devs are really good, and that they are aware of it, and that they want to do stuff about it. But I think they should be swallowing that frog, biting that bullet, doing the unpleasant thing sooner rather than later. Because the longer we wait, the more damage is done with a privacy coin. Why are you poor now? I was promised Lambos. Why are you poor now? Well, you are donating. You are like single-handedly donating to this show, but that's probably not making you poor. Bitcoin. I don't know. You tell me, man. Maybe you should have bought earlier and held your nerve through the Chinese crash. How about that? I don't know. Why are you poor now? Just hold it, man. Just hold it. But yeah, number go up is not the path. It's great to become rich, but it's better to die bravely fighting. Then you can go to Valhalla and join Odin's army. Anyway, that's Thought Crime Boss's fan mail. We've got more fan mail, good fan mail, special fan mail. This fan mail, one of the best fan mails I've received in a long time, comes from Visit Respublika Abkhazia.com ad, who is a character that's talks a lot in the chat and is funny and is like very welcome face in the chat. And he finally sent me some fan mail. Thank God. He says, he, she, it, whatever, says, Dear Mr. Riddle, I wanted to ask you for your thoughts on the upsides and downsides of daily driving Graphene OS versus Linux smartphones, both real Linux and mobile distros, such as the, hopefully, upcoming Jala phone, the Vala phone, the Pine Phone Pro, maybe even with Mobian, or even the Pyra Dragon Box with 4G LTE. I know it's dead as fuck, maybe even some kind of psyop, but please let a Soviet nigger dream. These devices and OS could be more under the radar than normal de-Googled Android or Graphene. There is also the less well-known Next phone. This thing comes with its own, allegedly, de-Googled Android plus Windows 11, yikes. However, they do advertise an open bootloader and custom OS capabilities. Don't know anything else about the firmware yet. If you know some super secret unknown cypherpunk projects in that regard, please let us know. Do you have any thoughts on IMEI blocking, like in Australia? What about spyware companies offering shit like Pegasus? Do you think they have working exploit chains for Graphene, Lineage, etc., and or Linux phones, especially zero-click exploits or similarly heinous shit? I also want to use this opportunity to remind the peeps to not upgrade any Android meant to be secure and or private anymore starting September this year. due to lockdown of a lot of code. Links if you need any. PinePhone Pro Mobian setup unaudited. And it's a link to, you can see these links in the show notes, hopefully. It's a link to rachel.likespizza.com, some blog post on there. Next phone, an upcoming multi-boot capable smartphone. I do not know anything about its firmware or possible write-protected ROM on it in that sense. Unaudited. Nextphone.com is the link. That's nexphone.com. The Dragonbox Pyra, a mobile gaming device running Debian that would be available with 4G LTE capabilities, should be available with it, could be available with it. If it wasn't a scam, drag on these nuts across your face. Pyra-handheld.com/board/pages/Pyra. Pyra is Pyra. Kenny on Google planning to start the iOSification of Android starting September 2026. Mental outlaw, so probably doesn't need further verification. And it's a link to a YouTube video that you can see in the show notes maybe. By the way, were things such as freedom is the invulnerability to coercion inspired by Ludwig von Mises? Lastly, shout out to all my brothers east of the Caspian Sea, Mohammed Sambul, Kub Kamar ad-Din Dibiaza, Khidir Khwaraita, and especially Kratniga. Also, Eva Brown, that works in our organization's controlling department, counting our currency reserves of about 2 USD and 3 cents every day. And of course, to all the homosexual men that make up the PAZNIA chats, at Shadrach's Hamster, that has been writing here under at John Galt, at Avalon Centrifuge for replying to all my messages, thus inflating my tiny ego and dick. If any of the guys ever gets confused and tries to rape himself, I am here to help brothers. And El Presidente Javier Jabu Jabu, who is my top pick for the new head of Venezuela, and who assured me to install Abkhaz, South Ossetian, and Russian as the new official languages of that country. You guys are all real ones. If I ever want to pass on my genes, I will do it with you guys. Don't worry. No need to consent on your side. And if I get rich sneeding those Polish cows, I will certainly remember all of you. Kind regards. Visit Abkhazia.com team, Department for Car Radio and Bicycle Acquisition. Sudo, $sudo, zero-click exploit, -- hack is simplex, delete his OS configs, reprogram his bootloader, rewrite his firmware, install Ubuntu, replace his crypto wallet keys with CP, change his background and font color. The worst thing there was install Ubuntu. Anything but that. I depending on the crypto wallet, the CP could be worth more than the crypto one, and I might like that. But the Ubuntu, that's a big deal. That's a problem. There's a lot to unpack there. This is a really good fan mail. This is the best fan mail I've gotten in a while. I wanted to ask you for your thoughts on the upsides and downsides of daily driving. So Graphene versus Linux, Graphene OS versus mobile Linux. The short answer is use Graphene. Don't use mobile Linux. That's the short answer. It's better. So mobile Linux is cool, and I have played around with it, and it has its uses even, right? Like if you merely want a Linux computer that is in the form factor of a handheld fucking brick with a touchscreen on it or whatever, or maybe if you want it to be like if you want it to fold out like a Nintendo DS and you have like a little keyboard on the bottom with a fat battery, that's like a palm top. It's called a palm top computer. You can get that by having a Pine phone with their keyboard back case attachment. And then you got a palm top computer. If you merely want a Linux computer that's like small, it's a pocket Linux computer from it. Like that's really cool. There's lots of cool stuff about that the Pine phone.
You're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network.
Hello friends, fellow self-liberators. DJ Brian FreeRobot here with a message from the PAZNIA Department of Freedom. Did you know, PAZNIA is much more than just the greatest radio network in existence. Founded in 2020, the Free Republic of PAZNIA is a burgeoning, worldwide parallel network founded upon the principles of truth, freedom, and voluntarism. We're building out a network, and subsequent map and directory, of homesteads and farms, van nomad squat spots, guerrilla gardening plots, local health food stores, potential opportunities for alternative home bases, and much more, anything else that would be useful and necessary for a self-liberator. Beyond that, we have various departments, such as our Department of Transportation and Department of Communications. Each department is pursuing its own goals, in this case, a decentralized logistics and supply network, and mesh networking as examples, respectively. We'll build out some public features, but PAZNIA is at its core a vetted network. And the first step is to become an honorary stakeholder. Features include discounts to other businesses/hustles in the Agora, access to the Second Realm network of non-coercers, a PAZNIA ID card, PAZNIA stickers and pens, a digital self-liberation bundle via Liberty Under Attack publications, a PAZNIA flag, and a shirt and a coffee mug or a hat. The full stakeholder donation is $333, but there are various tiers, $3, $55, and $99 if the budget is understandably tight. Your donation will go towards the expansion of the PAZNIA network and is a way for us to only get folks who will put their money where their mouths are per se. And you get some great advantages in return. To become an honorary stakeholder, visit paznia.com/stake. Again, paznia.com/stake. Bitcoin, Monero, and fiat accepted. Thanks so much for tuning into the PAZNIA radio network. Let's get back to the deprogramming. DJ Brian FreeRobot out.
Life is a continuous confrontation with forks in the road. One is good, one is bad. And you could always wander completely off the road altogether and become lost. Totally and completely lost. If you take the wrong fork at one of these junctions, there is always the opportunity at the next fork to get back on track. But it is a constant battle within ourselves. You see, I have studied this concept for many, many years, and I have to tell you that if there is a real devil, like Flip Wilson used to say, the devil made me do it. Now, I'm not telling you that there's no such thing as Satan or Lucifer. I'm telling you this. If there really is a devil, that devil exists in the hearts and minds of men and nowhere else. Nowhere else. For if you take man out of the equation, evil ceases to exist, and there is left only the laws of the universe and the balance of nature. Put man in the equation, and before long, evil will rear its ugly head and present itself to the world. The evil is within man, and that is why it was called the fall. The devil never made anyone do it. If you do it, you did it yourself because you fell into temptation. For until man once again confronts the real nature of his own condition and of the world around him and accepts full responsibility for his actions without blaming anyone else or any devil, until then we will always be a puppet on the end of someone else's string. And ladies and gentlemen, when that someone pulls that string, we will dance.
This is the basic law of life, and dear listeners, it is spiritual in its nature. If man failed to do everything in his power to protect his life, as a result of such neglect lost his life, then the destiny for which the soul came to earth would end there. Without life, a body or medium to function through, spiritual attainment would be impossible, ladies and gentlemen. Spirituality would then be forfeited. You see, if man's life was threatened without cause on his part, and he failed to do everything in his power to prevent death, he would then be guilty of three actual crimes. He would first of all permit the enemy to commit murder. Next, he would be committing suicide by failing to protect the most precious possession given to man by his Creator. And worst of all, he would end whatever his destiny might be, the purpose for which body, mind, and life had been given to him. And I believe it's to learn something. In one respect, man is forced to be a warring, not a murdering creature. And I might inject here that the Ten Commandments does not say, in its original form, thou shalt not kill. It says, ladies and gentlemen, and you can check this, if you wish, go to the original Hebrew and Greek, it says, thou shalt not murder. So in one respect, man is forced to be a warring, not a murdering creature. From his birth, the law of self-preservation forces him to be on guard against every inimical force attempting to destroy him by one means or another. He must be on the alert to prevent man, natural forces, or his own carnal desires to betray him into acts of degradation. Man is a warring creature. But his war, I tell you, his war is an honorable one. It is one of protection. First himself, so that he may protect those he is responsible for, but in doing so must not take unfair advantage of others, nor be guilty of unrighteousness. The nature of this was and is actually spiritual. It is the battle of righteousness against evil. It is a war biblically spoken of as taking place in heaven because it is waged within man's spiritual nature. He fights to fulfill destiny and to finally create heaven on earth for himself and others who follow. By the war of righteousness, wherein there is no selfishness, he attains the consciousness which makes him a man, knowing both good and evil, having chosen good to attain the promised sonship. Notice, you must choose. You must choose. Each and every one of you listening to this broadcast tonight must choose, and you must choose very quickly. You might ask, is there actually a need for some form of evil in the life of man? Was this, together with some form of fear, ordained in the beginning? And I say nothing has been ordained, but if the divine law is to be fulfilled in the life of man, then it is certainly necessary that he according to sacred concepts, become a crusader in God's cause and not exist as a negative, effortless, uncreative, unproductive creature, a leech-chased parasite upon the rest. The first command is that he must become a man in the true sense of the term, and this implies that he must prepare himself to meet the enemy that is ever alert to destroy the best that he has created. He must meet evil as the soldier meets the enemy. Doing this in the righteousness of his conscience neutralizes fear. Many of you call and ask me, Bill, aren't you afraid? My answer has always been and always will be no. No, no, and no. I know from where I have come, and I know where I am going. I know who I am, and I know that I possess a soul. I fear the actions of no man. I fear the judgment of no man. I fear only the judgment of my God. And I know that if I am doing what is right, I need not ever fear that judgment. And therefore, I am not afraid.
You've just heard a transmission of the PAZNIA Radio Network, the entertainment and propaganda arm of the Free Republic of PAZNIA, a public service of the PAZNIA Free Press. Long live the Second Realm.